Welcome back to the in.pencil podcast. I'm Adam.
And I'm Jess.
And we have a very special episode for you today.
It's like a 90s special episode. We talk about drugs and why you shouldn't do them.
That's no.
That's exactly what a 90s TV sitcom special episode is about.
You're way off base.
Yeah.
We're doing our annual 50 best songs of the previous year.
Yes.
So this is our 2023 list. Our 2022 and 2021 lists are actually our most listened to episodes
Really?
throughout our podcast. Yeah,
Nice.
So this will be a good treat for everybody.
And we will have a 2023 playlist, best of everything else. We did that for 2022, and that was a special podcast that was hidden only to our Patreon subscriber.
Wait, what? That's not true.
We had a best of everything else list that we made last year, and the audio was so bad we couldn't use it, and we never re-recorded it.
That's right. That's right.
Well,
this year we'll do it properly, I think, hopefully.
Yeah. And I like doing it. I like doing the best of after the year has ended. I'm like the weird one like that. I think you wanted to do this back in December, and I'm like, I want to wait till the year's ended because you don't know if they're the best of. And that's the case for, I think both of us put a song on the list in December that wouldn't have been on there. Didn't you put a song?
Did, but the song that I put on wasn't released in December.
No, I mean, well, yeah, we both found a song in December that was released earlier.
Yeah, well, I had been. We can go over it whenever we go to the list.
Yeah,
but
that's it.
Let's say I've had about 40 or 50 songs that have been on the list at some point during this, but I've narrowed my selections down to 25, and then you 25. Perspective.
Yes, I literally right before this we started this podcast, I took one off to put one on. That was one that I heard earlier in December, and I was like, I gotta put this on the list. And
what'd you take off, and why'd you take it off?
I took off Moon Taxi's classics.
Yeah.
And the reason I took it off, it was one of the first songs I put on the list at the beginning of the year. And when you're in the beginning of the year, you have like a lot of songs on the list, and it's the only one of that beginning part that stayed.
Yeah.
That they're good for what's come out, but then you start hearing better and better songs come out. And so it's a good song. I just don't put it in my top 25. And my top 25 has there's some on there that are like, why is that better? Or why is that on there? And it has to do sometimes with what the song represents as much as how good it is. But my top ones, like my top 10 are probably all what I consider peak of this year. That are not on Adam's list. Adam has some on his list that I would have put on my list, but
and vice versa. You have some on your list that I would have put on my list had they not already been on your list. But it was important to me that they were included, regardless.
Yeah. Yes. Though we might have disagreed. I can't remember which. Yes, we would have disagreed on one of his artists that he put on here. I would have put a different song, but I would have had the artist on there.
Which one is that?
Yeah, your Blink song.
Oh, okay. Well,
but yeah, let's go. Let's not talk about the list. Let's talk about the list.
Well, we need to go over our process here. So
our process
this year. Well, this year for developing the list, we did it a different way than we normally do it. What we normally do is wait about halfway to 3/4 of the way through the year to start actually building it. This year, for me, I started building it at the very beginning of the year. Whenever there's a song that came out that I really truly enjoyed, I added it to like this sort of base list and said, okay, this is going to be my list for 2023. And then I'll pull from there what songs I think are the best of the year in my humble and not at all expert opinion. But so that happened. So yeah, I think towards the very beginning of the year, we can just start digging through some of the songs that we picked. Linkin Park released Lost, which was like a huge alternative hit. It was like one of their B-sides from the Meteora era that they put out, not B-sides, but like unreleased tracks from that era. So they put it out with the 20th anniversary collection, and that has been on my list all year long, as has a few of those songs we can talk about as we go through our list. So really, about a third of my list I've had on there for most of the year. The rest of it has been sort of evolving throughout the year, which is a different process than what we used. Like I said, in 2022 and 2021 and 2020, I think we didn't even do it until like the very end of the year.
Yeah, it was hard to come up with 25. It was like throwing some stuff at the wall. I had
Yeah.
like 17 songs, and I was like, I gotta come up with 8 more.
Well, we only did 20, and collectively we only
Was
did
it
20. Yeah, we did 10 apiece in 2020, and then the next
really?
year we moved it to 50. Yeah,
Oh, it was the next year where I
yeah,
only had like 17. I had to come up with 8 more. In the
yeah.
first year, I think I had like 8, and then by the end of the year afterwards, I had like 14, and I was like, well, not all got included.
Well, can you believe we've been doing this podcast for almost 4 years? It's been,
That is wild. Yep. It
yeah,
was February of 20 or
March or
March of
April, March or
2020.
April. Yeah,
Yep. Yeah, we started the YouTube channel. Our first upload was April, I believe,
yeah,
of 2020.
yep. So
Just we were playing. I want to tell I know everybody started a podcast in 2020, but we were planning it before the pandemic. I
yeah,
just want to tell people that this
yeah,
was a plan before the pandemic,
yeah,
and it just took some time. It was the pandemic had already started by the time we got everything rolling.
yeah, yeah. It was really on the cusp. But really, honestly, and just to go back and do a little bit of in pencil history, we had been talking about this podcast back in like 2012, 2013, and then we didn't do
I
it, and we set on the idea, and then we merged some of our other ideas together with this, and this is how this was all created. So
Yep. And I think I gave you some stuff that has like you'll look at folded up papers on I gave you a list of things and
yeah,
it has some of my initial like thoughts for something back in 2012, some
yeah,
of the stuff I was writing for us to do and
yeah.
talk about either in podcast or video form. But anyway, that's not why you're here. Nobody cares about the in-pencil history but
They
us.
they
What
want
you
the
care
list.
about is the list.
Well, we obviously I don't think we're going to go over the entire list, but
Now,
we
we
will
hope you
share.
listen to as little or as much as you want.
Yeah, we'll share a link to the. We put the playlist on Spotify, so we'll put a list or we'll put the link for it in the notes or description or whatever they call it down below in the the notes or whatever. So how do you want to start? You want to just I'll go over my top song, then you talk about your top song, and we kind of rotate or alternate or whatever.
Yeah, I think we should definitely start with one and go down because we
Yeah,
want to spend the most people care about what number one is. We could say that for last, but you can also just click on the link and see it. So why do we just hold it? And then I want to talk about like our number ones are nice, but I want to talk about some of those other ones that shocked us. Like our number ones, I think for both of us. Spoiler alert, it's the same artist we picked as our number ones last year. Uh,
is it?
yep.
No,
Uh,
no, not for me. Not for me.
oh, did you change it? I
Uh,
still got
well, last year mine was I don't even remember.
yours was
Um,
the edging, wasn't it?
It was edging. That's right. So you're right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Okay. I stand
So
corrected or sit corrected.
this is the wild thing that I did. So last year I heard a song that came out. I heard it in the kind of the middle of the year. It was a really great song. The album hadn't come out yet. I loved it. It was my number one. The next year, the album comes out, and another song from that album comes out, and it becomes my number one.
Yeah.
And the weird thing is, that's the exact same thing that Adam did.
Yeah, exactly. So what is your
And the wilder thing,
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. What's the wilder thing?
and the more interesting thing, the part of this, Adam was not with me with this, but we both saw our number ones in concert and we saw our songs from last year played this year in concert.
Yes. That's correct.
Adam was not with me when I saw my number one, but I was with him when he saw his number one.
All right. So anyway, enough beating
But we did
around
not. Yeah, that's a weird
the
thing. So
proverbial
your number
bush.
one is number one.
Anthem Part 3 by Blink-182 to nobody's surprise. I actually
This is the
struggled a
anthem.
lot. I actually struggled a lot with that specific choice because there were probably 3 or 4 songs from that new Blink album that I had in that spot at one point in time. One was One More Time and Dance with Me. Uh, I think Blink Wave may have been there for a minute, and then I settled on Anthem Part Three because I found myself going back to that because I really love like the drum intro and just like the meaning of the song and the fact that like it opens. It's what the kids will call a banger. It opens basically the entire rest of the
I don't,
playlist. It's a good opener for it. So
I don't think kids use the term banger anymore.
do they not? What do they say?
I don't know. Riz? I
I'm so
don't know.
fucking out of touch. I have no idea.
Oh yeah, we're out of touch. You're out of touch as soon as yeah.
As soon as I start saying Blink 182 is my song of the year, I automatically.
Yeah, yeah. Blink-182 is for a certain group of people that have back problems. Uh,
Then you used to be the case.
no,
Uh,
no, it didn't. But that's how old getting older gets.
that's
My
true.
Song was One More Time. I thought that was a great song, but I obviously deferred to Adam on the Blink list. We don't put the same. If in case you didn't notice, we put 50 different artists on the
Yeah.
list. Is the goal. So that means if we both have an artist, if we
Like,
both have the same artist with different songs,
yeah.
then we pick one.
Right. Yeah.
Since Adam's the Blink 182 fan, he's going to know Blink 182 better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so there's songs on your list that if they hadn't appeared on your list, I would have picked from my list. And one was "We Didn't Start the Fire" new version with Fall Out Boy.
Yeah, you had a song on your list also that I would have put on my list. I can't remember what it was. I think it was this year. Oh no, I forgot. Owl City. It was Owl City.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
and
yeah.
Matchbox 20. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yes, we are. Go with your top pick
So
first.
my number one was Changes by Joy Aladakun. Um, and last year it was Purple Haze. Uh, so I really like this song because it was about kind of just like the anxiousness of things changing. And I think the opening lines, I hate change, right? Oh, shoot, I forgot the opening line of the song, but it's basically about not liking changes and the world's on fire and just everything's going wrong and just having to deal with this. And it felt like what life has been like since we started the podcast.
Yeah.
Just in general, not just personally, but just in the world. Um, and I just really love the song. I really love the album. I've got a CD version of the album, which is amazing. It's hard to do these days. It feels like I actually went to the show and bought from the merch table.
Yeah.
Like it's like how 1995 is this?
I mean,
Uh,
even 2005. That's even 2005.
yeah,
So
yeah, it just feels so weird. Like the last to think how few times I've ever bought a CD from the merch table. Like before that, the last time I'd done it was 2019, and before that probably was when we went to see Reliant K together.
right.
In
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
2014, I think,
Yeah.
or whatever that was. Great show. Terrible venue, but great show.
Yeah.
Uh, but so that's why my number one, just a song about dealing with the things you can't control and just having they're there.
Yeah. All right. So my number two. So we didn't really. Not all these are like in numerical order. So I'm gonna go down like two or three first, and then we can kind of jump around the rest.
Yeah.
So like I'm gonna talk about like maybe the next four more or less. I have "Tell Me I'm Alive" by All Time Low. This is off their new album from this year, and as I go through the list, you'll see there's a running theme here. Majority of my list is pop punk, which is different from most years. I have Most years I have a mix of like rap and rock and pop punk and maybe a country song or two. But this year it's mostly pop punk with a few exceptions. Um,
I'm the one who put in the country songs.
that's true. But I picked that song in particular off their new album because I really like the way like it starts off like the first third of the song is it's got kind of like this nice sort of rhythmic beat to it. I like I like the lyrics and everything, but then it switches like in the final maybe third of the song to like this really heavy like punk driven sort of different sort of style song. I like the transition. I'm all about transitions. If And then I have Alkaline Trio's Blood, Hair, and Eyeballs, which is coming off their new album that's coming out this month. So I guarantee you next year I'll have another song on the list next year from the new album that's coming out this year from Alkaline Trio, which is on the list this year for a song that came out last year. Does that make sense?
Oh, 4 years in, and I'm still making these mistakes, right?
Anyway, Blood, Hair, and Eyeballs is fantastic. And then the last one
And
I'll talk
a
about. What's
and
that?
a great, also a great Halloween feast.
Well, it came out during the Halloween season, I believe. It came out in like early October.
That's very good.
And then the next song on my list is an older song from Switchfoot's The Beautiful Letdown album, which I think was their third or fourth album? Fourth album, I believe.
Uh,
Um,
I
so
don't. Now I'm kind of curious. I just remember "New Way to Be Human" and then "The Beautiful Letdown,"
no, there was New Way to Be Human. There was
but now I'm missing like
two
some
others. There were two others than The Beautiful. So I think it was their fourth album. But anyway, they re-released The Beautiful
learning to
Letdown. Yeah, Learning to Breathe.
was between New Way to Be Human was second, "Learning to Breathe" was third, and "Beautiful Letdown" was fourth.
I actually got that right. Can you believe that? It's just off the dome. It's just like
I mean, yeah,
there.
it's amazing. I would have said third album because I was like, I know it's not just "New Way to Be Human" and then straight into "The Beautiful Letdown," but
Anyway, they re-released "The Beautiful Letdown" this year, and they did like an R version, like a Taylor's version kind of thing, where they re-recorded the songs, presumably for the same reason that Taylor Swift did. And they had part of that was they brought in different artists to do cover versions of the song. So Owl City did a cover of "Gone," and Reliant
like
K did a
yesterday is
cover.
gone, like
Yeah,
history is gone. Sorry.
exactly. And Reliant K did their cover of "Ammunition," which is the only Reliant K we got this year. The only Reliant K song we got this year. But I felt like, we've done cover versions before on this list, and I really enjoy this cover version. And any chance I can get to
Yeah.
get Reliant K on the list, I'm down for. So that's kind
Yeah.
of like the next couple songs on my list. So I'll go over you to explain yourself.
Okay. Explain myself. So my number two song was a song that I heard late in the year when the album came out, and that's "Will Anybody Ever Love Me" by Sufjan Stevens. And uh it just the first time I heard it blew me away. My songs are more like folksy Americana, I feel like is where I went this year.
Mm-hmm.
As you can see, I mean, like and I'll go through some of these very fast, but I just love that song and it just like builds and builds. It's just a slow build, and then it's just really uh, a really good ending. I'm not great with musical terms, but listen to the song. The third song on here is an artist. So the reason I put is it's called "Young" by Alicia Blue and John Paul White. But so I saw Alicia Blue at a local concert, free concert in Nashville, and um, I'm like hanging out. It's like a kid and adult type, thing, and I'm just hanging out with my daughter, and she's running around playing in the kids section, and the song comes on, and then I just hear it. Um, and I hear the line, "I was born in a town that always sleeps."
Okay.
And that line got into my head. The idea of like after 17, your life ends at 17, I think is what's the next line or in it or something. It's in the second verse. And it just like, oh my goodness, it just hit me so hard because I was like, I come from a town like that, you know? That
Yeah.
was our small town. It was the town that was just a small town, and high school is the best years, and you cannot succeed past that.
Yeah.
And it just felt so real and so good. So that's why I picked that one. I'm going to go quickly see "Honey" by the Lone Bellow. I love the Lone Bellow. Every time I hear their music, it's just like something that's so amazing. And this song is great to like listen to while you're driving. Um, and then we have the Arkells. That's I just love the way the song sounds. I have a lot of songs about love, apparently, which is weird. But um, let me see. I'll talk about one more and then we'll go back to Adam.
Okay.
And that is the Beatles are on here. I never thought in my
Yeah.
years of existence that I would have a new Beatles songs, I say with air quotes. This song is obviously, we never got a chance to talk about this song. We were going to,
Yeah.
and I forgot why we never did. Not important. Um, but it's a newish song. Basically, it's a John Lennon tape. They pulled out the audio from this music because in the 90s they tried to make this song when they were doing an anthology because they did three anthologies and they did Real Love, Free as a Bird, and Now and Then was going to be the third anthology single. But they couldn't get it to work to George Harrison's liking. So Paul McCartney waited till after George Harrison died, and then he re-released it. Well, that's the way, like those
Oh,
haters.
okay.
That's the way some people probably see it. But really, what it was is he waited 20 years after George Harrison died until he could get some new technology to break the piano from the vocals.
So, what do you make
Uh,
of the criticism that people think that it shouldn't have been released because it's driven by AI and John Lennon never intended for it to be released? Like, what do you make of that criticism?
so I go with a few things. So AI is in music and has been in music for so long. We just use AI as a catch-all term. It's just an algorithm and it's just stuff that's it just is a separating. It didn't create the music. Nothing was created from AI. It was
Right.
separated with AI. So it's a very different use of AI. We just think AI is this bad term. AI has been in everything. We just what we're trying to think of is like generative AI. I think I don't know the term. What people are actually talking about is the bad AI now. I guess the bad stuff that we're all afraid of or whatever.
Hmm.
That's not what was used to make this song. It wasn't creating any. It wasn't creating John Lennon's voice. It wasn't creating any music with the AI. What they did was they separated John Lennon's voice. They kept John Lennon's voice. They kept George Harrison's guitar from the 90s version.
Yeah.
And then they had Ringo and Paul come in and do their parts. And then they had some few other artists come in and do their parts like in 2022, I think, or 2021. I'm not really sure. Can't remember when. So all the parts are original to different time periods. So it's like the most expansive of being in the 70s with John Lennon, the 90s with George Harrison, and the 2020s with Ringo and Paul and other artists to fill out the rest of it. I can't remember about the piano, if the piano is original to John or if it's
I
a new.
think that was McCartney.
Yeah,
Um,
it seems like they would probably re-record the piano parts. Like,
right.
but so that's what I'll say about that. That was not generative. It wasn't making new Beatles songs. It was just using it was a computer algorithm that's separating stuff. The same way some artists use computer algorithms to take out background static.
Right.
The same way right now, hopefully y'all can't hear that a fan is in the background, which is doing white noise to make sure you can't hear what's going outside my room. Because there's an algorithm that our is in our recording, what we're using to record
Right.
to keep out background noise. That's all it is. This is stuff's been around for years. Since there have been computers, there have been AI. The second thing, yes, John Lennon never had this, never necessarily wanted to get out. But the thing is, like, Yoko Ono gave it to Paul.
Right.
She gave those three songs to Paul, and she said, "Do something. You can have them to do something with."
Hmm.
So the person who was with John Lennon his last 10 years of his life, more than that, but like after the Beatles broke up, and who knew him the best, gave them this option to do this. And we can't ask John if he's okay with this or not, but we can ask Yoko Ono if she's okay with this, and that's the next person who can talk about it, and she is.
Right.
You could ask Julian or Sean Lennon what they think, but Julian Lennon and I think he has a little, rightfully so, may not have great feelings about a lot of things his dad did.
All right.
So
So
yeah,
maybe, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say that's all I have to say about the Beatles. I don't know if you have anything to add to that or if you want to go back to your list.
No, we can go back to my list. I'm just going to talk about the next few songs just sort of very briefly. Or I may
Rapid
skip
fire,
around.
rapid fire.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I didn't intentionally spend a lot of time listening to like punk music or pop punk music this year. It just kind of turned out that those were the songs that wound up on my list, and so uh, I'm very excited about the new Alkaline Trio album, which I talked about earlier. I really love the new Blink album. Green Day has a new album coming out, and the first single from that is called "The American Dream Is Killing Me," and that's a very typical Green Day political pop punk sort of anthem, and it's fantastic. And then there's the song by a group called the Veronicas, which I believe are from Australia. The song is called "Perfect," and uh, it's basically about how fake and artificial everyone is. So, I like that. Uh, Next couple songs are just some more pop punk bangers, if you will. There's a song called Shh, Golf Is On by Hot Mulligan, which is great. MXPX, Stay Up All Night.
Wait, isn't a mulligan a golf term?
Yes, it is a golf term.
Is this a theme?
I don't know. It's a great song, though.
Yeah.
Then there's Psych by Say Anything, which is from his new album. Him being, I can't remember what his name is, Max something. The band was Say Anything. I think now it's just his project, but it used to be a band. And then there's Take Me With You by Neck Deep, which is about being abducted by aliens, which, is great. So.
Oh yes, we listened to this song and I thought it was about God. You're like, it's about aliens.
Yeah. There's Landmines by Sum 41. Landmines was the first single off their new album, which will be, unfortunately, their last album because they're calling it quits after this. Then there's Shattered by Bad Cop, which is another amazing punk band. It's a female punk band. They're on Fat Records.
Do you think they have a cover band called that covers their music called Good Cop, Good Cop?
I highly doubt it,
Yeah.
but they're great. Then there's Hope is a Dangerous Little Thing by the Menzingers, which is another great punk band. I'm going to skip over next song, Keep Your Mouth Shut by Off. It's a very short, just sort of hardcore song by Off.
You definitely did not just skip over it then.
Well, there's more to say about it, but I'll
it.
say it later. Yeah. And then
Say
the
what you say.
last sort of punk or pop punk song on the list is Tomorrow Never Comes by Rancid, which is again another political anthem. And the rest I will save for my next little section. So I'll leave it over. I'll go over to you for you to go through a couple of yours.
I think we're doing this better by just going section by section than just choosing songs.
Sure.
So my next one is In Your Love by Tyler Childers, which is my only true country song on this list. I do have Jason Isbell, which I skipped over, and then Dolly Parton, but those aren't technically country songs. They're just country-esque people. I really like this song. I know the music video made a lot of people mad because it showed a gay relationship, and well, let's just face it, people who like country songs sometimes get a little judgmental when it comes to seeing guys have relationships. But it's a really beautiful song. And it's weird because I don't think Tyler Childers is gay, so it's not a song about a gay relationship, so I don't know why they're so mad. Anyway, not important. A few other songs that I saw live, like You Make Dying Fun was a song I saw live. And we really should go back over this list and talk about how many of these songs we've seen live.
Yeah.
Or how many of these artists we've seen live. And that's kind of what I did. I went to a bunch of like festivals and stuff this year and got to see a bunch of really good music live. I liked the next one is Boys Will Be Girls by Derek Webb and Flamey Grant, which, was that controversial because it's a song about drag queens that topped the Christian charts on
because it's
iTunes.
Derek Webb and it has an explicit tag on it for some reason. I don't. I listened to the song a few times. I can't remember why it has an explicit tag.
He says the F word in it.
Oh,
I
okay.
guess so. He makes it explicit. So, wild story about the song. I have to tell you this. I think this really happened. I'm not sure. So I'm like listening to the song, and I'm going into Kroger, and I swear I see either someone who looks identical to Derek Webb or actual Derek Webb.
Mm.
Don't know. Don't know if he goes to Kroger or not. Not a clue. But it was the weirdest thing ever. I'm just like listening to the song, getting my list together. This was like sometime months ago. And I'm like, that can't be him, right? Right? But you never know in Nashville.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, the song was controversial. It's a really good song, I think. Uh, he has a song on here, Sympathy for Paul, which actually came out last year. And if it had come out this year, that would have been my number one song because that is
Hmm.
a wonderful song about Paul and what this is theology, but what Paul has done in the Christian church and how the Christian church has really latched onto Paul. And it's a great song, but it technically came out last year. And I try to do my best to say any song that came out before November of last year, I would not include on this list.
Yeah.
So it does not get on this list. Next up is Let It Be by Dolly Parton featuring Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr. This is the second time Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr have appeared on my list,
Hmm.
which is wild. I like this version. At first I was like, okay, it's okay, and then it just grew on me. Just Dolly Parton singing like rock songs. Uh, and then the last one I'm going to talk about here is before I go back to you is Never Gonna Stop by Rick Astley. And I did not think I would like this song, but it's so good. It's like
Is
a
it? I
never
actually
gonna
can't stand it. Sorry.
you can't stand it. This
No.
is like this is who was it? Who was it last year that you hated? Um Budapest singer. I forgot his name.
Oh, Ezra, something like that.
Yeah.
I
Oh, I
forget.
forget George Ezra.
Yeah.
I really like this song. It's just about growing old, but it has a very never gonna give you up feel.
Yeah.
He's leaned into the meme
Yeah.
and he's done well with it. Have you ever heard his version? I think he's done it with Foo Fighters. Of they do the Nirvana music, but they sing "Never Gonna Give You Up." Not the Nirvana
No.
music. It smells like Teen Spirit
Yeah.
music.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
No, I
Never Gonna
haven't.
Give You Up, which is pretty cool.
Haven't
Okay,
heard that.
back to you, Adam.
All right. So let's see. All right. The next block I'm going to talk about is the pop songs that are on my list. So there are a few. There's two by Illenium, which I feel like was cheating, but I get around it by
Being a
Illenium.
cheater.
Well, Illenium is the producer. It's on his albums, but it's on his album. But he's the producer. But the first is Avril Lavigne and Travis Barker, and it's Eyed Wide Shut, which just sounds like a great pop punk song. So I guess I really shouldn't really say it's a pop song. It's more of a pop punk song, but it's got the Illenium like electric or electronic sort of what?
You're like, here, the next group is pop songs. This first one is about Avril Lavigne and Travis
Well,
Barker.
it's in the middle. It's in the middle. All right.
They're kind of middle. They do
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
middle
yeah.
stuff, but
And the other Illenium is Nina Nesbitt. I've loved Nina Nesbitt for years, just as a singer. And Love Me a Little is just a great little sort of, you know, electropop ballad, I guess. And then I have Coma, Coma by Taylor Acorn. So I'd been listening to that song for most of the year, and the original version has been on my list for most of the year since it came out. But then when she released the version with Cassidy Pope, it was even better. So that's the version that's on here.
okay. So I don't know if I've heard this version because I'm thinking the original version of this or whatever version I've listened to is not a pop song.
Well, it's pop rock.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll give you pop rock,
yeah,
but
yeah,
your
yeah.
your definition of pop is apparently not punk
I
right
mean,
now.
it's.
It's
I
punk or
mean,
pop.
think about it. If you got Olivia Rodrigo, who was on my list originally, you got Olivia Rodrigo, who's a pop star, right? But most of her music has like pop punk, pop rock influences.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm coming from with this. And
Okay.
her Olivia Rodrigo, Bad Idea, right, was on my list, but I took it off in lieu of the Alien song, which is Take Me With You by Neck Deep. So
Mm.
sorry, but I'm not really
But
the audience for Olivia Rodrigo. She does make good music though, and she's a good songwriter.
yeah.
Um, and then there's All Right by Charlotte Sands. Charlotte Sands is another one of those pop rock artists, I guess I'll say. But this song's very like mellow and yeah. And then Kelly Time by Owl City, which is the only song on the new Owl City album that I actually liked. But it's great. So,
There was
and then
another one I
there's,
liked on that album, but Kelly Time's really good.
yeah, it is.
I just can't.
Um,
And Al City, the famous pop singer.
Adam Young, yes. He's a
Uh,
electro
he
pop.
actually is. He's yeah. I was trying to be
Yeah,
dumb, and then I realized no, he actually is a
he's a
famous
pop
pop
singer.
singer.
Yeah.
He is technically not a one-hit wonder, in the same right reason that Carly Rae Jepsen's not a one-hit wonder.
We've had this discussion before.
Yeah,
All right.
and it was a very pop song.
So the last two on this list are Wild Dogs by Matchbox 20, which we talked about ad nauseum over the past year. One of the bands
And
I've seen
so
live.
yeah, that,
Yeah. And the very last song on my list is by a guy named Dylan Owen and Spose, who has been on my list before in previous years.
I
Spose is a
suppose he has.
Spose is an amazing rapper from Maine. This is the only rap song on my list. And the original version of the song that Dylan did was really good. But when he put out the remix with Spose, I had to go with that version. Spose's verses are amazing on this song. And it's a very like subdued, like another like mellow pop rap kind of song. But yeah, it's a great like closer. And if you listen to the playlist all the way through from like the beginning of with Anthem Part 3 all the way through, and then you go from Take Care of Yourself into Changes, it's a nice transition. And then it flows seamlessly into your section of the playlist.
Adam has thought about like the flow
Every
so
single
much.
detail. I've put so much detail into this fucking playlist.
I literally
Yeah.
like threw dice at the wind and put together the order of some of
No,
these songs.
I was very meticulous in making sure I've listened to this the whole thing all the way through at least 5 or 6 times over the past several weeks just to make sure the flow is right, just to make sure that the
Yeah.
transitions sound good, everything.
Maybe next year I'll say, okay, here's my number one song, and here are my 2 through 5, and you just make the whole thing fit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah.
And I mean, I don't know. Do you have it like yours than mine in the playlist? I mean, I'm looking at a playlist, so I
Yeah.
guess you,
Yeah. Yeah. It starts off with Anthem Part 3 and then it
and
goes
then
through all of
all
mine.
yours.
Now, there's a few heavier songs I haven't talked about yet, but we'll talk about those in a minute.
No.
So I'll let you go
So
back to some of your choices.
okay, so there's the Foo Fighters song called "Under You," which well, that's a tough one.
Why is that?
Um, that's I'm pretty sure is about Taylor Hawkins.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Um, I'm pretty sure. If not, it is has that theme. And it was I have loved the Foo Fighters since I saw the music video for Big Me,
Hmm.
the Mentos one,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
I was never into Nirvana. Just to put it, I was too young for Nirvana. I didn't care for Nirvana. I like them now. They're okay. They're just not. That wasn't. I didn't grow up on that. I was. That's so. That wasn't the type of music I was listening to. But Foo Fighters, I did get into. I hit the age. I came of age as Foo Fighters came of age, kind of saying. And and Taylor Hawkins has been there pretty, not exactly from the beginning, but pretty much, and he's been such a big influence. Uh, as someone said, the fact you know how good he is, the fact that um, Dave Grohl gave up the drums for him to be the drummer of the band. Um, And so just how much respect when you are the drummer of maybe one of the most famous bands of all time and you decide not and you're no longer the drummer of a different band that you created. Um, so that when he died, it was a yeah, it was I think like a lot of people it was really tough. Like, oh my goodness, this was this was a big deal. This is like a huge one of those huge deaths.
It's like Chris Cornell or Chester Bennington or one of those. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it maybe Chester Bennington was probably the bigger one. And for me, Nate Dogg's death was pretty huge, but I
Yeah.
don't think that was that big for a lot of people. But for those who listen to rap, he had all the great hooks.
Well, DMX was big for me too, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. Taylor Swift,
Yeah.
or not Taylor Swift, Taylor Hawkins. She just
Taylor Swift, yeah. And I don't even want to think of, yeah, when, but anyway,
yeah.
but Foo Fighters, this is a really good song, and I've seen Foo Fighters live, and I feel like Foo Fighters is what rock is now. Like it can really do rock shows live because I've only seen them once. I've tried to see them multiple times, and it's just they were amazing, and that was years ago. Let's go on. We didn't start the fire by Fall Out Boy. I saw someone say everyone has tried to remake We Didn't Start the Fire, and pretty much all have failed. And why? And they said the reason Fall Out Boy got it right is because they didn't just talk about the bad stuff.
Right.
They talked about the good stuff and they talked about the neutral stuff, which is what Billy Joel did in the original song. It was good, bad, neutral. It was just a story of the history. And everybody's like, oh, here's all the bad stuff that's happening in the world.
Right.
And Fall Out Boy is like, here's some bad stuff, here's some good stuff, here's some wild stuff. They do Michael Jordan 23, and then they do a few lines, and then they say Michael Jordan 45. And
Yeah.
that's so niche, but
Yeah.
so funny and so well done.
Yeah.
I think. Nobody talks about that line as much as they talk about some of the other lines that they did, but I love that.
Well, my favorite line obviously is the Tom DeLonge and Aliens line. So
Yeah. And it doesn't even say anything. It's neutral. It's presenting information in neutral, which is so well done, and why I think this is the best sequel.
But it's really cool to go on genius.com and look up lyrics for this version of the song and find out what the references actually are. Because some of the things are like, what the hell are you talking about? But then you go in there and you go there and it'll point you to what he's actually referencing. So
yeah, it's just go do that and go see listen to him listen to him back at back, Billy Joel and Fall Out Boy back to back. I've never heard this version live, but I have heard the original version live at a Billy Joel concert. Cool. It was one of the highlights of the Billy Joel concert, one of 3 highlights at that Billy Joel concert, but that's not important. we can talk about that a different day. OK Go is a band I've loved since like 2015, 2016, and they came out with new music, and I love this. Most people know OK Go from their what are those things called? Walking machines. I always forget what treadmills. Their treadmill music video. Here we go.
Oh,
Here
yeah.
we go. That's what most people, but they've done a lot of cooler videos since then. And this video was, I don't even know if they did a music video, but I do like their music.
Don't skip Need to Breathe. We got to talk about Need to Breathe.
Let's skip Need to Breathe. I did skip. We'll come back to Need to Breathe. I'll just talk about this one real quick. I put in this one last minute was Josh Busker, Painless Date. Josh Busker, or I think it's Busker because they're busking. I put this one in there because he just put out this album. YouTuber I've watched for like 10 years doing like all this random stuff. And he's like, also a singer and put out this album. And I'll listen to the song over. I had to go on a like an 8-hour road trip. And I listened to the song over and over again on the whole road trip. And I was like, this has to go on my list. He was like, check out my new album or EP. And I was like, okay. And I was like, just listen over and over again. So I really like
is
that
it
song.
Good?
Yes, it's really
good. Okay, I haven't heard it yet.
Yeah, I literally put it in. I don't know if you'll like it or not, but I think you'll like it better than Rick Astley.
Yeah, well, that's
definitely. I'm pretty sure you'll like it better than anything by George Ezra. Apparently, you don't like George Ezra, but yeah, I think it's good. It's pop-ish. It's pop. Let's go back to Need to Breathe. This is a really good song, I think. Ever Known.
It's Need to Breathe never misses. That's the thing. They're great.
Yeah.
Sort of southern rock, almost alt country kind of band.
Yeah, and they are
some Christian undertones or whatever.
Oh, this is. I don't think these are undertones.
Yeah,
these are not
overt tones.
this is the most overt Christian music they've had in a long time, it feels like to me. Like this is
Yeah,
I started getting into them during the oh, what was that album called?
The
With Girl Named
Outsiders.
Tennessee, The Outsiders.
Yeah,
That was like the best album. That was the first time they pulled away from just that straight
that's still
Christian.
my favorite Need to Breathe album is The Outsiders.
It's so good. And this one, it just feels like I've listened to their music throughout the years, and this one just feels really nice. You can hear sounds in the background, maybe someone revving their engine outside her house. Um, I don't know.
Oh, good.
Uh, but yeah, they don't miss, and this one's a big hit to me.
Nice.
Any thoughts on that? I think it might have been on your. Was this one that
It
may have gone
would
on
have
your list?
been so Need to Breathe, Fall Out Boy, and then the one we haven't talked about yet, Love and Life by Bare Naked Ladies. Those three would have been on mine if not on yours. So
Yes. Yeah,
yeah,
I might as well just. You want me to just finish out my list? And oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah, because you already finished out your list. So I'll just talk
I have
about
three
my
more. I
two.
got three more to go through, but we're good.
Yeah, I'm just going to talk. I'm not talking about them all, but "Loving Life," Bare Naked Ladies. Really good song. It was actually my favorite from their album. I think they just had an album come out, and this was
Yep.
the one that I really liked. And then the last song I'm going to talk about, it ends the album, it ends our thing, and it's Peaches by Jack Black. It's technically Peaches by Bowser.
Right.
So I actually put this on the list, and there were two Jack Black songs I originally had for a long time on here because they did a Tenacious D did a cover of Wicked Game
Yeah.
that is really good. Go look it up. It would have been on my list, but we had too many covers uh, and too much Jack Black. I just didn't feel right with it, and I had to pick between Wicked Game or Peaches. I didn't go with Wicked Game because it's not the full version of the song. They did a very small version. It's very
Yeah.
strange. But anyway, really nice song. You hear Jack Black, he can sing. Peaches go on here because come on, everybody was singing it. Basically, I think it's one of those. It's a really good song that tells you what you need to know about the movie, and it also paints Bowser in a different way. He's not just evil; he's just in
Obsessed.
unrequited love. Would you say
Obsessed.
obsessed, unrequited love? Yeah, I was gonna go with a nicer thing, but obsessed, and you just kind of get. It's really cool. You see him as this evil person, and then this evil, I guess, this evil turtle or whatever.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you get this right here, this song, and in the movie it's broken into two parts. There's the first verse is in the middle of the movie, and the second verse is in the end credits. But here it's all together, and it's just Jack Black being Jack Black, especially the music video that he did for it. The live version is pretty
Yeah.
him going all out.
It's
That's
great.
all.
It's great, and it's from the Mario movie, and we
Yeah.
can't not talk about Mario for 30 seconds on this podcast.
I'm
So there we go.
yeah. Yeah, I get to put Beatles and Mario music in the same year, and who can't not do that?
Yeah, I know, right?
Like, like what year is this that we're talking about? The Beatles, Mario, and Blink 182. In fact, I don't think any of those three ever crossed over before.
And
Maybe
Green
90.
Day and Switchfoot and Reliant K and Alkaline Trio.
Well, I mean, yeah, now we're really narrowing it down to
We're down
2023.
in the in the early 2000s right now is where we are. You know,
Oh,
for our time, because Tenacious D was a thing in the early 2000s. Remember?
that's
So
true.
we're still, yeah,
If you have not listened to Tenacious D, you've got to go listen to Tenacious D, just not with little kids around.
no,
Uh, but you really get to see how great of a singer Jack Black is, and he and Kyle, um, oh, what is what is his last name?
Kyle Glass,
Is it
gas,
Glass?
gas.
Is it Gas?
I
Uh,
forget. I think so.
I don't remember. Really should look that up. How great of a band they are. Uh,
Yeah. Well, and you know who plays drums for their albums, right?
Dave Grohl, right?
Dave Grohl. Yeah. Yeah. He's played on all their albums. He's played drums. Maybe not on every song, but on the first album, the self-titled album, he played the drums for every song on that one, I believe. And then the second one, the Phoenix one, I think it's called, Rise of the Phoenix or something like that. He played drums on this too. So yeah,
And yeah, we just need more Tenacious D love, so maybe they'll come back with a full album, which they haven't done a full album in years.
Yeah. So I'll talk about the rest of the remaining songs that I had. I already talked about the Linkin Park Lost song a little bit. Um, Off. Off is a bit of an obscure pick, I think, if you're not into punk music, but the um, Off is sort of a punk like super group, I guess, led by Keith Morris, who played in Black Flag and Circle Jerks, and they just released another album or EP. I can't remember which. But this song, "Keep Your Mouth Shut," on my list is from that, and it's really fast and short and aggressive, and I like it. And then the final song I'll discuss is "Let Go" by Underoath. I was expecting another Underoath album this year, but I don't think we got it. But this was a one-off single they put out this year, which is again very aggressive and loud and very enjoyable, I think. So I think that's our list. Did I miss anything?
Well,
I don't think
I
so.
mean, I don't know. I wasn't keeping track. I did not go through all the songs on my list, but
I
you
got through
now
all of
can.
mine, so you feel free to go back. You didn't talk about Death Wish or
I
Looking
did
for
not.
Love or You
I
Are
did
Not My
not.
Friend.
Yeah, okay. So I'll go back and talk about a few. Death Wish, Jason Isbell. Jason Isbell is one of those artists who also never misses, I feel like. Definitely one of the best writers uh, for that genre, which is like Americana, bluegrass, country. Uh, Probably the best current writer, I think, in that. Tallest Man on Earth. I mean, Looking for Love is just a really nice song. Um, it's not my first time putting Tessa Violet on here, but You Are Not My Friend.
Yeah.
She had a few songs out here. This wasn't her biggest one, I don't think, but it was the one I liked the most. Uh, and oh, I will tell you about another one. Nana or Nana, I don't really know which one it is, but Song Godzilla. This is one half, or I think one half of Monsters and Man.
Right, right, right.
So
Yeah.
she put out a solo album this year, and uh, yeah, I really liked all the songs, and I just love the fact that she said she the lyrics in this was, I think she used the term pinto beans in the lyrics, and I just love. Sometimes I love the basic lyrics, just
Yeah.
be like Jason Isbell can really do a lot of cool stuff and make a lot of good wordplay. Like he's that type of writer, and sometimes you need the type of writer who doesn't. And what I really think about your which song was it? The Spose song.
Take care of
Uh,
yourself.
yeah, I felt like the raps in this were just so basic. At first, I was like, these are just so basic raps. They just don't. Or I don't like them because they're just so generic. And then I realized, no, they're just straight to the point.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be deep. It's supposed to hit
Well, it
you,
is it is deep, but
but it's deep because it's
it's
deep in
not
a different.
cryptic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not poetic. It's straight to you. Like, I mean, the chorus just says, "Take care of yourself."
Right.
It's on the point. Like it's not trying to, oh, maybe some people won't get this. And I think we sometimes do lose that, how important that is to sometimes be on the nose.
Yeah.
And as I listened to that song more and more, I was like, okay, I like this because it is just very much, here is some basic lines, because they were not trying to just overthrow you with metaphor. We're just trying
But
to
it's
talk about
good
a line.
and it's
Yeah.
catchy and it gets in your
Yeah,
head.
yeah, that's
And
what it does. It burrows into your head, and it, ooh, it's like an earthworm in your brain.
so what songs or what artists did you omit this year that you like, what songs or what artists did you like listen to this year and you're like, okay, I want to put them on there, but there's not enough room or something.
Uh, my biggest one is Judah and the Lion. I always like Judah and the Lion. They had some
Yeah.
good songs, but
They're a normal stable for us too.
yeah, I put them on my on a lot. But I was like, no, I'm not gonna put them on this year. I don't think anything they have is good. National Parks, I did that same way. I was like, nothing on here. I had them on earlier in the year, and I was like, they've always been on my stuff. So I'm trying not to have the same artists over and over again, just
Yeah.
because obviously I listen to those artists. And I'm going to naturally hear their songs more and more. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to have a diversity. But that was like Judah and the Lion is probably the biggest one, and I think Judah and the Lion was like one of the last cuts. Technically, I had to cut I cut out Moon Taxi at the last moment, which we talked
Yeah.
about earlier. And they have not been on our list every year, but been on their list before, I believe. What about you? What artists did you cut?
I left off Eminem because he only had 2 features this year, and neither one of them are very good. The new Juice World song with Eminem is just sort of mid. Like I like Eminem's verse, but the song itself I don't like. And the song he did earlier this year with that dude from the Philippines, I don't like that guy at all. So, and I left off Taylor Swift because um, while I bought her Taylor's versions of her new albums this year, the bonus songs that were on there this year, the one that I did like with Haley Williams on the Speak Now Taylor's version called Castles Crumbling, I really did like that one, but it wasn't as good as any of those songs in my opinion that did make the list.
Yeah.
So I cut it, and I cut off. And those are the 2 artists that normally appear somewhere for me that didn't get on there. And I left off Olivia Rodrigo this year because I really do like her new album, Guts. It's great. It's probably one of my top 4 or 5 favorite albums of the year. But I don't think that I'm the right demographic for her to like. And everyone, and besides, even so, everyone else, she's on everyone else's list. So why would I like? So that's kind of how I felt about it. So yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, go ahead.
a lot of good music came out this year, and that means a lot of things get cut. And yes,
Yeah.
sorry, Swifties.
Yeah.
I did not listen to a new Taylor Swift
They'll
song
be fine.
this
She's on someone else's list, so I'm not worried about it.
year. She's on a lot of people's list, I bet.
Yeah. I did see
Probably,
Obama's. Did you see Obama's list this year?
I did not.
It was fucking terrible. Like it was just a bunch of crap, just trap music, and he put Mitski on there for some reason, just depressing. He put that Beyonce and Kendrick Lamar song on there about like everything wrong with America. It's like you were the fucking president. Like you had a chance to actually fix this stuff, and now you're gonna put whatever, dude. Yeah. So
I did cut out. I know she came out with new music this year, but I don't think I put Brandy Carlisle on the list. I think she came out with new music this year.
yeah.
So I just now randomly thought of Brandy Carlisle. I think was on one of his Obama's list one year.
Yeah. Well, she was on our list last year. I think you put her on there for I can't remember the song.
I can't remember the song. It was a really good song, but I can't remember the name of it.
Anyway,
yeah, I forgot already. Elevator. Something about an elevator. I don't know why I think that. It's not important. But yeah, so great music. Got to see a lot of. We got to see some really cool bands this year.
I will say I got into the punk and pop punk rut this year for a good majority of the year. I did listen to other genres of music, but when it came to the stuff I kept coming back to, the stuff that's on the list is the stuff I kept coming back to. So maybe this year will be different. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't even know who's coming out with music this year. So 2024, let's see what happens.
I can tell you who's coming out. Alkaline Trio, Green Day, and that might be all I know of right now. I think Charlotte Sands is one of the female artists, the newer female artists I really enjoy, is coming out with an album this year. So, yeah.
So, yeah. Well, thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. And go check out our playlist. The links below, above, beside, around, back, before, behind, beneath. Sorry, I got caught up in the prepositions.
Yeah.
But yeah, go check out our list and feel free if you can comment on wherever you're listening to this podcast. What was your favorite song of the year, or favorite album of the year, or favorite artist of the year, or favorite Mexican restaurant of the year?
Life is not written in ink. We change, we grow, we make mistakes. We learn, and eventually we fade away. Life is written in pencil. Thank you for listening to the In Pencil podcast.